This is Hunter Paulsen. This is my informative speech. Um, do any of you wonder what effects pollution can have on animals? Of course, as students our age, people probably don't think about this topic as often as we should. Um, I've always thought about this topic, and that was kind of what urged me to pick this for my speech. Kind of give me more research on it, and so I can further develop my knowledge on the topic. Um, Believe it or not, pollution can have many harmful effects, not only on humans but also animals, which we don't pay as much attention to on animals as if it was us. Um, uh, here are the different types of pollution and its effects on the animals. All the types of pollution can have negative effects, but first I'm going to tell you about air pollution. Air pollution is probably one of the worst types of the three. According to Mayada Al-Aziz in the article Geological History and International Relations from 2013, levels of pollution high enough can cause death. And if the pollution doesn't cause death, it can cause many diseases and even cancer, including cancer is included as one of those diseases. Um, Levels, and if it doesn't kill them right away, the diseases eventually will. And if like that animal becomes pregnant, the disease can carry on into the offspring, which can then hurt that animal and further on into the food chain. Including with death and cancer, it can cause cardiovascular problems, premature death, and respiratory problems in animals, which can be passed down to the offspring. Not only cause death, animals can also suffer from this. Um, the air pollution is harmful enough. It can cause the animals to be contaminated and can suffer further on from the disease. It can make it hard for it to breathe, like with the respiratory problems. Um, Diseases can be caused and harm the offspring, which, like I said before, can further along the food chain. And let's say a human, consumes the animal, that person could then become sick from it and maybe even die, or just like suffer just like the animal did with the disease. It can make it really hard for the animal to breathe, and it can suffer from this. Air pollution is up there when it comes to harm on the animals, but water pollution is another one of the main of the three, another big one. Water, humans and animals is a key ingredient for us to survive, but unfortunately, we've kind of let that asset go, and it's become very polluted, and almost to the point where it's too late to kind of go back and prevent this from happening, and to clean it up for it to be safe for animals and humans to drink. According to Ahmed Khan in his article Environmental Pollution and Its Effects on Life and Its Remedies in 2011, water pollution can seep into the ground and harm the vegetation that is grown there. So just like the water that we need to drink and animals need to drink, the vegetation can become polluted, and when the animal drinks that or eats that vegetation, it can be hurt, and the vegetation cannot even grow sometimes, which then harms the ecosystem and it causes habitat loss. So all of this kind of has a trickle down effect, and just from one little thing that happens. The water carries chemicals, and it's hard for vegetation to grow, like I said. And we all know that we both need the food and the vegetation to live and survive, and so that hurt vegetation, just that one little plant, can harm the whole ecosystem. And then the animals can run out of food from this vegetation being lost, and habitat loss. And with the habitat loss, animals are struggling to find places for shelter and to live, and then they can eventually die if they don't find their habitat fast enough, or if they don't adapt to that different habitat fast enough. Um, uh, Animals run out of food and habitat loss. The animals die, like I said. Scientists have proven that pollution is debated to loss of wildlife. It's one of like the main causes that they say to animal losses, though air and water pollution. And With the hurt vegetation and loss of habitat, it further affects the food chain. And like we've noticed in some areas that the loss of habitat has driven animals closer into urban areas. So like if you're out where there's like a high bear population or like mountain lion or something like that, It can come into like urban areas and harm your children, or even kill your people for food, just because of that one little water pollution or vegetation loss or anything like that. With the water pollution, a lot of waste is dumped into like rivers and lakes and even the oceans, and this solid waste just floats around there all the time, and animals can like swim through it, and it can be caught in their neck or something. It can eat it on accident. It can suffocate and die. Um, Water pollution is one of the leading causes of death for animals, but land pollution is also up there. According to Aslan Guri in his article Environmental Pollution and Its Effects on Life in 2011, science has proven that nutrient polluted water can cause toxic algae that animals eat and can die from. This is more effect on like fish and animals that live in the water. Diseases, and this causes diseases that can eventually kill the animal or the fish, and whatever eats that fish or the animal can get it. Um, Animals dying higher up in the food chain, so this could eventually lead all the way up to humans if we consume that animal that has the disease from that algae. Um, Not only nutrient pollution in the water, but oil pollution as a lot of can cause a lot of diseases. Its effects are reproductive processes. The nervous system becomes damaged and harms organs, including like the liver and the kidneys, and this will eventually lead to death of the animal or even the human if it gets that far. The third and final type of pollution is land pollution. Land pollution, in my opinion, is caused more by human industry because we just kind of dump whatever we want wherever we want, and we don't really think of the consequences that it can have on the environment or animals that are in that environment. So dumping whatever we want can have a huge impact on animals that we don't really realize is there. Land waste dumps can get into the ground, and that causes more ground pollution, which just like the water pollution makes it hard for vegetation and the increase of habitat to expand. So it's just limited to that one area where it's always been. Um, all of these can cause damage to animals' lifestyles. Like I said, different types of pollution all have effects on animals. Believe it or not, pollution has many harmful effects on all kinds of animals that live on Earth. So next time that you think of pollution, think of the effects on animals. And also, for my visual aid, you won't be able to see this very well, but I have 3 pictures from what I saw as land pollution. Can you bring that closer? This picture shows, let's see here, a seal with what seems to be netting across its neck, probably from just dumping in the water, and like I said, it swims in it. This is a seal with a can over its nose, and this is a camel that is dead, and it's just laying in a big just dump area. So